here at GSRC love our quirky and maybe weird car and track combinations for races, and this event is an exception to that fact. It's the Janitor Dave's 2020 Summer Slammer racing the old but glorious Prototurtle, or better known as the Riley Mark 20 Daytona Prototype from the Texas Oval. A fixed setup on top of that will provide great and close racing throughout the event, which will run into the night, and the only thing to be eliminating the track later in the race will be the car's own headlight. So buckle up, get some popcorn, and join us today as we get ready to watch Janitor Dave's 2020 Summer Slammer live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. The crew to give you all these stats and storylines today will be DJ Clark, joining myself, Stefan Schlacher. Turning the knobs and pushing the buttons behind the scenes, our director Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Standing unchanged since 1997, the Texas Motor Speedway is widely regarded as one of the fastest non-super speedway circuits in the country, thanks to its highly banked turns. To get a really good look at the Fort Worth Oval, let's head Tarmac side with GSRC's track guide.
Welcome to Texas Motor Speedway. They say everything's bigger in Texas, and TMS doesn't disappoint. Located 45 minutes northwest of downtown Dallas and just over 20 minutes north of downtown Fort Worth, Texas Motor Speedway opened back in February of 1996 at a cost of $250 million. Texas Motor Speedway has been a staple on the NASCAR and IndyCar circuits since the first major event was held here back in 1997. TMS is a 1.5-mile quad oval mirroring its sister tracks in Atlanta and Charlotte, but many an iRacer have seen their race come to an end after bouncing off the Turn 2 wall. Now on the back half of the track, Turns 3 and 4 make for some of the most intense and exciting wheel-to-wheel racing in the world. They have led to many memorable finishes in NASCAR and in IndyCar, including 2 of the 6 closest finishes in IndyCar history. The Lone Star Tower stands as one of the most visually stunning structures on the iRacing service. Boy, does it stand out under the picturesque setting Texas sun. Well, that's our look at Texas Motor Speedway. Now sit back, kick up your cowboy boots, and enjoy the show.
Joe Peak talking you a lap around the legacy Texas Oval, standing very proudly on the iRacing service. Speaking about service, are you looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions? From official series sponsorships to commercial placements, we have advertising options customizable to suit your company's needs. Follow the link in the description to learn more. Speaking about learning more, DJ, what else can you tell us about today's venue?
Well, this 1.5 mile high-banked quad oval consists of 2 left-hand turns, as most ovals are. It's located just outside of Fort Worth, Texas. This is, as you mentioned, the legacy track, which means that it hasn't had any of the sealant or anything like that put on it. And for those who've been watching the Texas Motor Speedway more recently, it is lesser banked than some of the updates that have been put in on it. What that means is that guys are going to be able to take this track pretty flat out all the way around. So we should see some pretty close battling, close fights here and there, as well as you may see a hair of understeer coming out of 2. That's what we've been noticing a lot during the course of these practice sessions that have been running. But I think this is a great track for these cars, and it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun to watch them over 120 laps.
Yeah, most definitely, and add to that the very high humidity that you're already seeing in the background. Let's get a little bit of the facts out of the way for today's, that is, the race details. We have 120 laps on our hands, as you just heard. They are split in 2 segments. There won't be a yellow flag though in between those 2 60-lap segments. That is just for the $10 halfway price that they are gonna cash out. As we already said, fixed setups. They have 3 fast repairs if they have to use them. 2 green-white-checkered attempts will be also played out, and the drivers will be disqualified at 20x. But I think it's very unlikely we're gonna see anybody reaching that amount of incidents and still have a running car.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the tenets of oval racing. If you make a mistake, there's not a whole lot of coming back from it.
Also, by the way, at the very end of the race, the winner of it all gets $40, so a $50 prize pool, 10 for the halfway leader and 40 for the leader at the very end. And I think one of the trickiest things these Daytona prototypes will see today is the pit entry, because you're coming off quite fast a very steeply banked oval turn.
Yeah, that's right. Normally, when you see this track run in the real world, you tend to see a lot of accidents coming off pit lane. You're coming off that extreme banking here at Texas that it is known for so well. You've got to get on the brakes, get down to that speed limit. I think you're going to see some lockups. You're going to see some spins coming in. Thankfully, from what we've been looking at for these guys, probably only going to be a one-stop race. I estimate that they'll be able to go about 70 or so laps on fuel. So that should leave us for one pit stop, obviously, unless we have some fast repair situations that somebody's got some damage they need to take care of.
Cautions are also going to play a very interesting part in this race as we count down 4 minutes to the qualifying. They get 2 laps, by the way, in attempt to set their fastest possible time. Because it will mix up the task strategies a little bit. I personally didn't have a go because I sadly didn't have time for. But I heard that you did have some time to give it a go here. What was your impression of the car, especially the tires?
Believe it or not, I was very surprised. We are at a very hot, very humid day here at Virtual Texas, and I didn't see a whole lot of tire wear. I was expecting there to be a good amount, but these are obviously the old Riley prototypes made with endurance level tires. So they are designed to stick and to stay for a long time. I frankly think tire wear is going to be nominal. I was able to be turning laps within a tenth of a second of my best lap, 50 to 60 laps into the stint. So I think this is mainly going to be a race today that is all about racing on the track. And, hoping that you don't get caught out by a yellow when you do choose to come into the pits, because if you do have to pit under green, it will cost you about a lap and a half to potentially 2 laps worth of time.
Yeah, it sure is going to be very interesting. Now, I'm really can't remember anymore if the Riley still saw the V7 new tire models. I'm not sure if it actually got updated to it. I really don't know how the updates were on the legacy cars, but it's going to be interesting because it might be either the V6s or the V7s, because it truly doesn't have the newest tire model anymore. So, yeah. Either way, it is going to be interesting. The tires might be playing a role still, because you never know how the inputs for these drivers are, and especially if you're racing in a tightly packed race, then it might change even more with the tires, because we have seen people get quite some understeer out of turn 2. So have to look out for that, especially when they're starting their pack racing around this Texas Oval. As we count down to just under 2 minutes to go to qualifying. We have seen quite a few drivers put in lap times. Only 2 drivers didn't yet. Adam Sweet and Abbas Larak haven't put in lap times yet. The fastest one right now on top of the sheets, that is Dave Bush at 29.883, 1,000ths away from second place, and Malachi Drake taking that position. They're the only 2 drivers beneath a 30-second lap time. Roger Gregory rounds out your top 3. With a 30.063.
Yeah, that's right. With these fixed setups, you're going to see a very close competitive race. Even though these are endurance cars, I think the closest analogy that we're going to be able to draw is, frankly, a standard NASCAR fair pack race here. But that means it's going to be good racing. It's going to be close. It's going to be tight. And do not be surprised if this thing comes down to the absolute wire.
Yeah, as always, if you want to follow your most favorite driver in this race, you can do so using our GSRC.tv link. That is our official timing scoring page for all of our broadcasts. I would even put on a bookmark for that if you're watching a GSRC broadcast, because then you always have it quite at your disposal. Riding on board with Jonathan Oates to get a little bit of a feel here of what these cars can achieve in a single car lap. Seems like 270 kilometers an hour or 170 miles per hour is going to be the mid-corner speed of Jonathan Oates here.
That's right, and as you watch Oates come around the track, you can see that really the preferred line around here is going to be that low line. You're not going to see a lot of people trying to drift up, carry the momentum through the corners. There's enough downforce on these cars that they can just keep hugging that low line to get around as fast as possible. You may see a couple of guys try to get a sort of momentum style move on the outside, but like I said, I think if you can hug that low line, that's going to be the way to go.
Yeah, going to be very interesting. Probably a little bit of a super speedway approach in terms of qualifying setup. Have the out lap and the first lap probably on the high lane, and then really cut down on the low lane on your second attempt, like you normally do in your NASCAR races at Talladega or at the Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, very much so. Texas is widely regarded as the track, the intermediate speedway that runs like a super speedway. It is high banked. It is fast. This is obviously very famously the track that the IndyCar drivers back in the 2000s, actually it was the Champ Car drivers at that point, were going so fast that they were blacking out at. So this is not a track for the faint of heart. Speeds get high, racing gets close. It is one of the fastest intermediate ovals in the world. And it's a lot of fun to drive, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, saying in the world is a little bit of a stretch because, let's be honest, the US only has the fast ovals. There really isn't anymore in use that is rather fast anywhere else. Still had Lausitzring ring and stuff like that, but they all don't use the oval part anymore of their racetracks. Right now, Jonathan Oates, first place, 30.697, about 200th slower is Gavin Boyett in second place with Dave Bush. Now in fourth place is Nicola Rees takes third place as they head through their second laps.
Yeah, that's right. And as we look, times very, very close, very, very consistent. Only one driver back out of the 30-second mark, setting everything up. This is going to be a tight one, it looks like.
Malachi Drake right now first place with a 30.668, and he is going to continue there. Jonathan Oates was able to improve his lap time, but it still is about 29 thousandths shy of Malachi Drake. They are right now the only ones with a 30.6 to the names.
That's correct. Most of the field just sort of hanging out in that 30.7 territory. We still have about 7 drivers that are yet to qualify as they're coming out now, and we still have about half of the session left, so we could see some drivers try to pop up there as you look on screen now as, who is that? Visky is out running, taking that low line once again.
First lap didn't count, interestingly enough, for him, so he has to make this one count at least. Goes a little bit high up down the backstretch to get a nice run into turn 3 and 4. Let's have a look how this one's going to play out for him. Comes into the dog leg now to finish his second lap. It is going to be a second place. Ooh. Look at that, just 1/100th of a second behind Drake.
Great lap from Miski there, even with that little bobble that you were talking about. For those of you who are not familiar with the iRacing service, that first lap not counting is most likely a result of a 0x, meaning he brushed the wall, and if you do that in iRacing, your lap is immediately invalidated. So Visky having that happen to him on the first lap, but certainly coming back with a vengeance on the second.
Inigo Mardones is still gonna take his qualifying lap. He is now heading into the second lap, the fast one of the 2. Let's have a look what he can do. First one was good enough for 8th place at 30.750. Fifth place, that would be 25 thousandths of a second. He has to improve to get there. But he sure is going to try for a better lap than just fifth place. Let's have a look. Once again, out of turn 4 for him into the dog leg for the last time, and it is good enough for a 8th place.
Yeah, watching him come out of 1 and 2, he kind of fell into what you think would be the logical way to take that corner, letting the car drift up the track towards the outside wall. But you almost have to fight your natural instinct here. You want to keep the car low, minimize the amount of distance you travel on track. Keeping it low and staying low is the fastest way to go.
So what we can see from that is that the cars on themselves, without any damage, are about a tenth slower per lap than when they're racing in a pack. So that might be very interesting to see in the very end. We're going to take this row by row here because we really don't have too many drivers. Only 16 are here out today racing. Malachi Drake, he is going to take the pole position here with Gabor Albert Visky in second place.
That's right, and Jonathan Dates and Garrett Boyd lining up behind them in 3 and 4.
Nicholas Rees and Dave Bush line up in row number 3.
Row number 4 is Michael J. Fowler and Igor Mardones.
Terrace Breitschop in 9th place, and rounding out your top 10 after qualifying is Jordan C. Beck.
Zachary Geary taking 11th place, as Abbas Ladek is going to be taking 12th.
13th and down, didn't put in a qualifying lap. That is Adam Sweet and Nehuin Floyes in row number 7.
And finishing out the field, Roger Gregory and Bob Cunningham will line up 15th and 16th. Neither of them set a time as well.
The last 4 cars, if you don't know that, are by the way sent by iRacing. So Adam Sweet of the 4 has the highest overall iRating at his disposal, putting him ahead of the other 3. Sure, it's going to be a very interesting race. 16 drivers, a fixed setup to bunch them all up. One out of date Riley MK20 Daytona Prototype as well. Going to be a very interesting race, especially because both of us don't remember anymore how the headlights were on this particular Daytona Prototype, because I remember them as being very badly and not lighting up too much, but really don't know how it is with the new headlight model we have.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, this is Old Texas, which means there are no lights covering the track. So the only way around is going to be by the illumination of those headlights. It should make for a very interesting second half of the race, as I anticipate we'll probably start to get into darkness around lap 60 or 70.
Yeah, something like that. Probably somewhere around the halfway mark is we're expecting it. As I just got corrected by our director, that's actually Mark 2.0 and not Mark 20. Somebody surely can't write there at the Riley factory, because MKXX is most definitely. Anyway, going into turn 2, these 16 drivers are now behind the very unfamiliar, I would say, official pace truck of iRacing. Only normally used on the dirt side of things.
Yeah, I normally expect the Mustang or the Porsche to be out leading him around, but the truck it is tonight. It's a nice little welcome change.
So how is going to be this start played out? It's going to be very interesting. First time ever seeing these cars on an oval that isn't the Daytona road course. Going to be very interesting how they did it with the gear stacks. Probably starting in first here on the pace lap. We're gonna soon find out how Malachi is gonna hand that out as you're approaching the green flag. Green flag is indeed out now. It's a very slow getaway for everybody, but that's probably because of the gears. Jonathan Oates already up to second place, with Gabor Albert Visky losing 2 positions nearly as Kevin Boyd tried to go around the outside.
That's right, and Visky cutting down very quick on Nicholas Rees, trying to protect that inside line as they shoot down the backstretch here. Rees looking this way and that, trying to find a way out.
Already is starting to look like a Lotus 49 oval race with 3 wide into turn number 3. As Malachi Drake tries to once again retake his lead on the outside of Gabor Visky, but Visky, he is able to get that first lead lap under his belt. It was 43 1,000 of a second between first and second, as Kevin Boyd pushes first place past now entirely Malachi Drake, who is falling down the order on the outside with no support.
That's right, and you're seeing now what we were kind of talking about with that pack race as Oates and Drake really trying to work that top line there, seeing if they can get some speed. I think the only way you're going to make a pass work there is if you are able to have a buddy help you get a little grapple on the outside.
Does look like the two aren't quite enough, as now we have Kevin Boyd going to the outside in that Mazda 787B livery. Surely not the right decade for that livery on the car, but it works out quite nicely, I would say, on this car as well.
It does, and you can see there from Boyd getting that momentum along the outside. It's a good pull, and looks like he just misses out on leading this lap. That could be good. Watch as the race goes along, that may be the way to go if tires do end up wearing a little bit, and if we get into a shootout for the last lap.
And also, let's not forget the fact that the top isn't rubbered in yet, so that might also help the top line along the race, especially to get into that winning position at the very end.
Very true, as you're seeing this just go into a two-lane side-by-side race. Boyd still working on that high line. I think that's Drake there behind him. Everybody just slotting in. It's been nice. We're 5 laps down. Everybody racing clean. Always good to see.
Top side really has some support right now. They're 4 deep on the middle part, actually, because 4 rows down we actually do have a third line as well. Trace Brightshop was the only guy at top, but he did once again drop on the second row.
That's right. You're starting to see the lead pack just eke away here a little bit from the back, even though Avislatic is currently sitting with the fastest lap. He's the first guy to get into the 129s with a 29.935.
By the way, the fuel window we just got confirmation is 65 to 70 laps. So most definitely a one-stopper in this race, as the second car on the bottom row nearly goes into the grass fully there. That was, I think, Dave Bush.
Yeah, that's right. Bush getting low there. You know, this quad oval section of Texas is decidedly tricky, as we see Drake trying to pop up, making it 3 wide, running that super high line, coming in through 3 and 4. It sneaks up on you, these 2 angles in the quad oval. You can clip that grass and not realize it. It's good of him to keep it in line, but I have seen many a driver spin out making that same move.
Yeah, Takuma Sato can tell a story about clipping that grass to the inside of the dog leg. Most definitely in, I think it was 2018, where he did that and dragged about half the field doing that.
I think that's right, as there you see, trying to make it 3 right again, going into the corner and settling back into that 2x2 as time goes along. I think you're right on that one, Stefan, where you said earlier that we may see a little more action on those top lines once they start to rubber in, but right now it still looks like that bottom line's the way to go.
I also kind of wonder if Drake did pop out into the third row to get himself a little bit of a breather. Maybe his car was running or starting to run a little bit hot there, as we see that Oates is getting a little bit out into the open air, as we did see that Boyd had the edge over Visky, but Visky in the very end with the momentum from the top of the lane stayed in first place.
That's right, and Boyd there getting a little bit of what looks suspiciously like a bump draft coming into 1 and 2. If you watch these guys through the corners, it looks like at the early part, at what we would sort of consider turns 1 and turn 3, that outside lane starts to get a little bit of an advantage. They start to pull along, and then as they come back out onto the straights, it starts to wane off a little bit. Now, one thing I'm watching during this is some of these guys hanging back. they may be trying to bank on saving a little bit of fuel, running a higher gear, just laying back, letting everything develop in front of them. You've got 4 or 5 cars out in front, cutting up the air, giving you a big hole to punch through. They may be trying to go as long as possible on pit stops here.
3 wide yet again, too deep this time, as Travis Brightshop also goes to the top lane to support Jonathan Oates. But Jonathan Oates, I think, as like Drake did, just catching a breather of his car to not overheat it. Already 12 laps into the race, we have our first wreck, and he's stuck in the barrier.
Ooh, that just looked like somebody getting a little aggressive there trying to take it. I didn't see exactly who that was as the replay comes up now.
Nicholas Rees was the guy drifting up in that Toyota Castrol livery. There we can see the red line car of Malaki Drake. He's gonna get put into the barrier by Reese. There you can see drifts up and then once again drifts up right into Malaki. A little bit of netcode there as well, I think I saw. And that has put out our first caution in 12 laps.
You're right, and like we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, just a little bit of that understeer coming in through 1 and 2. You gotta be on it. I know the natural instinct when you're in this is to never lift and to keep low, but I think in this situation you've just gotta be careful and make sure to feather and lift off at the right time as you come through here, as you see a replay now on board from the cars behind.
Yeah, just very unfortunate. There a little bit of an overreaction, I would nearly say, from now I can't find him anymore. Drake, there we go. And the next thing I want to ask, is it viable to go into the pits and take some tires? 2 of the guys says yes, that's Boyett and Whiskey going to pit lane to take on some fresh rubber.
That's right, and Mardonis, Gregory, and Flores all behind them doing the same thing. I think at this point, if I'm Visky, why not? I know I've got the car to lead. I know I've got the car, and I understand it obviously fixed setups, but it's feeling good. Everybody does look like they're taking tires here. As clean as we've been running, I think it's also a bit of a fuel strategy. Just try to get the fuel now, get everything you can while under green. As Visky's slow off, and Boyett beats him off the line there.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if that was also a little bit fuel related, as he had to take on more fuel than Boyett, as Whiskey did run pretty much every lap out in the open air. Catching back up to the back of the field. This is gonna be a little bit interesting, as we can see the headlights have come on, and it does seem like that they are very sufficient for this racetrack, at least for right now. We're really gonna see how this is gonna play out once we go into full darkness mode here at the Texas Motor Speedway.
That's right, as we're just looking over the field here. Just an interesting point to bring out about Gabriel Visky, who is certainly no stranger to this iRacing service. He loves doing these charity drives. He raced the Jetta RX Charity Cup earlier this year on GSRC, as we now see Laddick jumping into the pits as well.
Yeah, interesting that he went on a second lap into the pit lane. Feels like that is a better strategy for himself, going to the very back of the field with that racing. By the way, in a very nicely delivered Riley DP, the original target livery. I think that's of the second car, if I remember that correctly.
I believe that's right. It's a little bit before my time in IMSA, but I think you're right on that. As our director just pointed out, yeah. But back when it was what it was called, Grand Am, not IMSA.
Yep. But I think the governing body was already named IMSA, if I'm correct. Just as serious wasn't. But yeah, expecting lights out this lap around, I think, should be going back to green flag, as we don't have any lucky dogs playing out. And the commentator was wrong.
Yeah, I think it may be, as Drake is listed as a lap down, the service will still count that as an extra lap to be tacked on. If you are a lap down, you can't pit on the same laps as the leaders, so that's probably what happened with that.
Yeah, probably. Now that you say that, also it seems like Drake doesn't have to give up the position to Flores. So that is also interesting. Or maybe Flores did pit again. I don't know, because he's also getting scored behind Lada, I guess. Actually, no, look at that. Drake does get the lucky dog. He was out early enough once again.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no, Adam Sweet did wave him around the pace car, so the league admin, or the race admin rather, decides to give himself a little bit of a breather there. Drake does get the lucky dog.
He does indeed. Now, as we will be coming back to one lap to go this time around, it'll be interesting to watch positions 8 through 14, all the guys that came into pit. We'll have to see what kind of grip levels they have as we get off the line here. It'll be something to certainly watch, as well as what I can only imagine is going to be another fantastic battle for the lead up front.
And our drivers are starting to line up for our 2-wide restart, as Drake has already caught the back, or has already caught the back of the field. Going to be interesting. We have a new leader to this restart. It's Dave Bush this time around. He started in 6th place. Obviously gained 2 positions because of the people pitting ahead of him. Going to be interesting how he wants to play this restart out. Does he wait? Does he go immediately? And especially, how does that work with the draft we're going to see from the cars behind?
Yeah, that's right. These cars really won't be up to full speed until they probably cross the start-finish line to start the lap after this. So drafting is definitely going to help as you get these cars up to peak performance.
170 miles per hour is top speed in the mid part of the corners. About 180 the top speed down the straights. Dave Bush goes on the throttle a little bit before the green flag, but it's immediately getting caught out by place number 3. That's Jonathan Oates, already pushing the lead car right now.
That's
really
right.
Not a good start for Reese.
No, not at all. He got caught out on that top line, and he's about to lose 3 positions, maybe even 4, as we get down the back straight here, as Oates makes a move for the lead.
Yeah, it does so very easily, actually, as I think nearly that Bush did let him by there. Either way, we also have Travis Breithoff going past into 2nd place. Whoa, that was nearly very close between Bush and Breithoff there into the 2nd part of the dogleg. As Dave Bush continues on the outside now. That's a help from Nicholas Rees, who stayed on the top side. Did never go down. Very interesting strategy by him, just running on the top.
That's
oh no! Oh, there's the touch! There's the spin! No, there's not. Yes, there is. Now Nicholas Rees spins into the pack, and that's a car collected. That was Abbas Ladak, but it seems like he was able to somehow avoid any major issue.
I genuinely have no idea how Bush managed to save that car. That was impressive handling from him.
I nearly do think that second touch by Rees did kind of help him there to save that car again, as it did straight himself on again. Let's have a look from the chopper. They can see the first touch from him, and then the second touch. Yeah, as I said, second touch from Rees actually got his car straight again.
That's right, and I can't tell if that's a little bit of netcode happening there between him and Brechkoff or what that is, but he just loses it mid-corner, and then you're right, that tap sort of sets him straight. Thank goodness for non-open wheel cars, I suppose.
That would have been a very, very different outcome if this would have been an IndyCar.
That's right, and Brechkoff and Bush coming into the pits here.
Man, Ladak. How lucky can you be? I wonder if... Huh, interesting. Ladak not going to pit lane once again, as we are once again on the replay here. Now on board. Bush. Let's have a look at the hands of Bush. What did he do to save that car? Not really much. Look at that. Wow, no steering to the right whatsoever.
Wow.
Ain't no thing, he said, and went on driving. Now in pit lane to take once again some new tires and probably change a little bit of his race suit.
Yeah, just a hair, and I would also say that that is a move that Danny Sullivan would be most proud of coming through that. As we get back to the action on track, most of the field is pitted here at some point. The only two cars that have not jumped into the pits, Jonathan Oates and Zach Geary, running 1 and 2.
Yeah, very interesting how that is going to play out for them. And we are going to step aside for just a few moments here, but don't worry, once the green flag is out, we're going to be back for more racing. It's Janitor Dave's 2020 Summer Slammer from the Texas Motor Speedway. It's lap number 24. Jonathan Oates and Zachary Geary are the only two drivers to not take a pit stop yet. 13 cars are still remaining on track as Neon Flores decided to put his car into the pit boxes. As we approach turn number 3 for the third start of this race.
Yeah, that's right. We've got to watch this front row. As you said before, they did not take tires on this lap. Guys behind them have 13 lap newer tires, so we'll have to see if they can make any advantage of that as we get ready to go to green. As they line up here, Oates starting to get a little bit of an advantage, and green flag is out as Oates starts to pull away, getting a really good jump there on Geary.
Very much did so, but he's blocking off Geary, and this actually allows the bottom lane to gain some momentum, and they're actually side by side with him. And Visky says, thank you very much, that's my lead once again.
Visky and Boyett, the guys who were pretty dominant in the first part of this, coming back to the front, and they're pulling along Roger Gregory with them, as it looks like Oates and Geary just getting completely hung out at that restart. Geary trying to give a little bump draft coming through 3 and 4.
So, Visky, he was the first car to actually pit on the first caution here. And it's a safety car, that's not the right term of the car there. That's just the base car in the US. But yeah, Visky was one of the guys to pit on the first caution. So he only has 6 laps in younger cars than both Geary and Oates. And I think Boyett is showing there as well.
Yes, that is right. As we're seeing that bump draft really playing again. Geary and Gregory both giving each other bump drafts on the outside, as here goes Boyett for the lead.
Yeah, Boyett actually did take it on! That's another wreck! Oh, 3 cars, 4 cars in it.
Almost saved it. I wasn't sure who that was that clipped him as he came around there. I thought he had it.
Make that 5 cars involved in this crash, as that was Jonathan Oates getting tapped by Visky, edging just a little bit too much to the top there in the bad draft. But yeah, Geary got a bite of that. Mardones there got a bite of him. The blue car got a bite of him. Then the Mazda got a bite of him. So many cars got a bite of him, and somehow most of these cars are still out.
That is really impressive and a testament to the construction of these Riley DPIs, as now you're going to see a bunch of guys coming into the pits here. As we said earlier in the race, these guys do get 3 faster pairs, so they'll be able to come in, completely redo the car, get it up, and get it ready to go, so we're not going to end up losing that many drivers here out of the running.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting fact, though, is that he did drift up so much there, Visky. I wonder if he just was slow on turning into turn number 2, because you normally don't really see these cars drift that early up to the top side, especially with Geary and Oates being able to hold the top line with much older times.
That's right. I would expect a move like that, something like that, to happen to the car out of Geary at that point, who obviously hasn't taken new tires, but I'm not sure what it was with Visky, if that was just a mistake or if he was maybe trying to get his elbows out a little bit, push him off the line. Whatever it is, disastrous consequences, as you saw.
Yeah, actually looking at the replay once again from Visky's onboard, to me it kind of looks like that was just a little bit of target fixation on Boyett ahead of him, because he did follow him and then just continued to drift up more than he liked right into Oates. Whatever the cause was of that wreck, the consequences for a lot of drivers were rather big.
That's right, and as we circle around here, it gives us a chance to talk about another one of the storylines for this race, which is the humidity. That's right, your computer or TV screens are not fuzzy. It is at about 90% ambient humidity here, 99, excuse me, even worse. So that fog that's lingering over is naturally created by the track. What's going to be interesting about it is as we go along, and as we get darker and darker, seeing that headlight reflection in that humidity, what kind of visibility restrictions that's going to have for the drivers.
Yeah, now, I do know that the weather variation is turned on, so the weather can change. As we see, it did climb up to 99% humidity from 95 humidity at the start. So I'm kind of wondering if on iRacing you can go from just humidity to also fog.
I don't know the answer to that. I know you can pre-program fog into it, but I don't know if they can cross the threshold. I guess we'll just have to sort of treat that as an experiment as the race goes along to check and see.
Yeah, we very much will have to do that. Obviously, this will mean a little bit of an impedance of the views of our spectators here in the completely filled grandstands.
That's right, these virtual spectators not abiding by social distancing regulations, just here to see a good virtual race.
Very much so indeed, as the lights on the pace car continue to flash in a nice orderly fashion. Jonathan Oates comes out of pit lane once again, now one lap down on the field in 13th place. He is still the last car to run in 13th place.
That's right. And the way we've seen the running today, where nobody's really been able to break out in front of the lead, the only way he's going to be able to get that lap back is if he does get the wave around coming here, which, if the previous caution taught us anything, I think he will.
Let's have a see how that's going to be for him. Remember, Adam Sweet was the guy who did manually wave Abbas Larak past the field. There's a car spun around, interestingly. Travis Breitschopf seems to accidentally have spun himself around on the backstretch. And since we like mishaps, we're gonna have a look at it. Coming out of turn 2, he strolls along nicely and has a little bit of a wiggle here. He has to drive straight, and yeah, I feel like he tried to do like an F1 style warm-up of your tires and completely failed at that opportunity. Either way, he is back to where he belongs, right behind Michael Fowler, and the pace car goes to where it belongs in the pits because the lights are off.
That's right, and Oates not getting a wave around here, it looks like, so he will be resigned to be a lap down.
Good thing is, though, he's only one lap down, so next caution that probably will come out, he is going to be on again. Gavin Boyett, he's gonna be lining up for first here to take the restart. It's the 4th restart of this race. It's the 4th guy to restart this race. 4th restart, counting the start as well here. But away, Gavin Boyett is going to come to the green flag in just a few moments as he goes onto the loud pedal. Now leaves, wow, look at that, leaves Trubisky really in his dust. He did slip hard on that start. He did wake up though, but he's 4 position stand.
About to be 5 is Britskov really making a move on the inside there. We just keep seeing this time and time again that as these guys start off, that high line is not where you want to be at all.
Yeah, most definitely. And let's have a look. Zachary Geary, he still did pit, I think. No, he's on stint lap number 33, so he still did pit as we are 33 laps into this race. Zachary Geary continues to be pretty much on pace with everybody else that has repitted, so yeah, right now it really doesn't seem like pitting was really a good option for these guys.
No, as I was saying earlier in this broadcast, I was absolutely floored when I was running testing earlier that the tire wear is nowhere near what I would expect it to be, and I think Geary may have the right strategy. As we see more yellows come out over the course of this race, I would not be surprised if we see fewer and fewer pit stops.
Zachary Geary continues to be in the draft of Gavin. Maybe a little bit of fuel really doesn't push him all too much, as the top lane just is not existing whatsoever. Right now, still 3 cars back. Right now being headed by Breitschopf, the driver out of Texas. So home race for him as well as for Geary and Gavin Boyett.
That's right, and these hometown guys will be looking for good results. I'm looking at track temperature and all of that, and as darkness starts to fall, we're not going to see a massive drop in track temperature, but I think it may just be enough that as we continue on through this race and the track cools down, that's when the high line may start to work. But as you said, it's not working now as we watch Fowler just getting gobbled up on that high line.
Yeah, very much so. And just continues to fall back. Now Fowler is way up ahead of the train of the top lane. 5 car back, 6 cars back now, as also Abbas Ladak decides to discontinue to be on the top lane. Never mind, he just overtook Fowler and now goes back to the top lane, as we have a little bit of 3 wide action in the back. On the very back now, as Drake and Bright Chop are 2 wide, and we only have now 3 cars on the top lane. That's only half of 13 cars. Now make that 2 that are on the top lane. Whiskey and Abbas, the only 2 cars on the top.
That's right. I think everybody's just trying to sort of duck in here and maybe save a little bit of fuel and just push as hard as they can in the draft, as it seems like that is the way to get around here. That top lane's still just not coming in yet.
We have seen the top lane work already, so I'm a little bit surprised that nobody really decides to be up there right now. As Ladak now starts to fall back. And there we have 2 cars now to the top. That is Oates and Boyett to the top. As Boyett tries to go back for P number 1, as he did go up to presumably give Zachary Geary a little bit of open air.
That's right, and commentator's curse playing in as we get back to 2 wide racing here. That looks like Geary trying to make that inside lane work there, as Boyett just got a really nice push down the backstretch to sort of propel him up into first. That looks like the way to go here, is we're going to have a lot of what I like to call Facebook racing. Find a buddy and bump your way forward.
Continues to be very interesting. Out of turn 2, the drivers are starting to suffer a little bit from understeer, and out of turn 4 they are starting to get a little bit of oversteer. Might have to watch that throughout the run, as we have 3 wide action in the back. Malaki Drake trying to push it 3 wide in between Bush and Oates, but he decided better of that once again, as the top lane pretty much once again disappeared.
That's right, and look at Oates' progression up through here, starting dead last at that restart, still a lap down, but he is now the 5th car running there, really making a nice run here, trying to get back on that lead lap, get himself into a position for a lucky dog if another caution comes out here.
Drake now the 1st car on the top lane. He's in 6th place racing, so still a long way to go for him to get back to the top and as he now drops back to the bottom side and Oates goes up. Gonna be interesting how that plays out, because now we have a lapped car at the top of the top lane, as Drake immediately jumps up once again, sitting still in 6th place. Let's see how those 2 can fare. They're also getting joined by Roger Gregory, as Drake actually now decides to go back to the bottom once again. Maybe jumps up again. No, continues to stay bottom. Oh, he has to actually go on the binders to miss the car in front of him.
That's right, getting down just close to that white line. It is a very rough transition going from the banking to that flat apron. You've got to be careful about that, and Drake is very lucky to have caught the car the way he did. The one good thing, oh, wow, Reese, big slide for him out of turn 4, kept it all together and lives to fight another day. Toyota liveried number 36, Riley DP. So once again, just not working out for Drake to be on the top lane, as now he gets joined by Jonathan Oates. Trace right, Sean goes bottom, and now Oates goes back to the bottom. Let's Drake hang out for the dry. That's right, and watching these guys as this track and race continue to develop, it's looking like the way to make the high line at least semi-work is you can only be on it for maybe a corner, provided you get the right run out of the preceding corner. Then you have immediately got to jump back down to that low line, get in line, and get back on that draft. If you get stuck on that high line, you will just continue to fall back, as we have seen guys do time and time again.
So, about halfway through this stint, actually, for some of the drivers, Gavin Boyant, Gabor Albert Visky, and also Zachary Geary, they are about halfway through their stint. Remember, 65 to 70 laps is the expected fuel window in this race.
That's right, and as you see Visky here trying to dive back down onto that low line, getting around Fowler and making that move stick, that's looking like the way to go. I think he may try to go a little high here on Reese. Doesn't look like he's going to have the momentum. We'll have to see how he plays it down the backstretch.
Yeah, he's going high through one and through the middle part, and then really dives down into two, and look at how much momentum that gives him. Goes past Reese, and maybe finds the slot to go in. No, it did open very shortly, but he didn't manage to actually get in his car there. So once again drops back behind Nicholas Reese.
That's right, as we ride on board here with your leader Boyett and Zachary Geary right behind him, you can see just how close Geary's getting to him, really trying to get the maximum out of that draft. And remember, Zachary Geary has not pitted yet. He is the only car running that has not come down pit lane, so he's in a very interesting position. And once again, kind of proving that I don't think tire wear is as much as these drivers thought it was going to be coming into the race.
20 laps to go in his stint. From this point on, it's lap 50. 70 laps is the maximum fuel window if you're running constantly in the draft. As Zachary Geary tries to bump draft Boyd into turn 1. Really didn't work out for Geary, as he nearly lost the car, had to go to the top lane and dropped immediately 4 positions.
Yeah, and he's risk of losing out here to Drake and Oates and a whole plethora of cars behind him, just getting forced off that low line. You can see what any sort of lift will make you do. It just makes you plummet like a stone.
Yeah, maybe also he had to cool down his car as well, as he continues to stay on the top lane. And now we have Dave Bush going to the top side, around, or tries to go around Jordan C. Beck. Nearly also goes around Gavin Boyd, that as much momentum as he had. He is keeping the top lane still kinda to his pretty much own, as you can see. He's quite far back from him, but look at how much overspeed he actually has on Boyd. He's keeping pretty much up to pace with him.
He is, but you can start to see Beck starting to fight back here, and I think now as this goes along, oh my god, Drake making it 3 wide down the backstretch.
Very aggressive for Drake there. Did not expect it. I thought he's going to push him. But no, Drake's not going to have any of that, and I actually tried to go past Bush for that second place. Didn't work out for him as well, so he had to slot back into second place.
That's right, as Beck and Drake, they're coming very close to touching, coming back into that sort of Noah's Ark style 2x2 racing, as that looks like Beck may be thinking about trying to dive down the inside of Boyd and thinking better of it.
Oh, Visky takes it 3 wide. No, he can't keep that either. So, very interesting. Seems like the third row is not sustainable. All that very high. Oh, Visky into the wall.
Just a little brush there that's going to cost him some momentum, but I don't think that's going to bring out the yellow flag as we stay green here.
I think he did pick up some line that see the right part of it. Let's have a look on board there with him. Into the dogleg, and boom. That is bent.
Very much so. And as we talked about earlier, the low part of the dogleg starting to catch you out a little bit. The outside of that quad oval can do the same thing. When you're driving it, you really lose a little bit of depth perception coming into that quad oval. You don't realize how much the track narrows there and just how quick of a turn that is coming through those two things, as we're getting a little feisty down the backstretch here.
Very much so. 4 wide, 2 wide, 4 deep. Actually 5 deep, nearly make that. Just missing one car on the bottom to make it 5 deep as well. Gregory, the last car on the top side. No, actually tries Brightshop, joins him for a quick moment, now goes back, so we continue to have 4 on the top. As Gregory starts to fall back a little bit, we continue to only have 3 on top, and it seems like Whiskey, that did hurt him quite a bit. He is about 2-3 miles per hour down on the cars ahead of him. So he's losing quite a lot of ground. He needs a yellow flag ASAP.
That's right, and honestly, if he were coming to pits now under green, I think that would be race over for him. Even with the lucky dogs and the wave rounds we've been getting, he'd go probably 2 laps down, and that would be an effective end of his race.
2-3 laps down, somewhere around that range he would be. That was nearly close between Beck and Drake. Drake goes to the bottom. Oh no!
Oh, thought he was going to save that there as he collects that with him.
Who was that? That was Brightshop taking pretty much broadside there of Drake's car.
As we watch on replay here, Drake trying to hunt down to that low line. Looks like he just kissed that inside apron, got loose, and bam! Getting nailed by Brightkoff and just going spinning.
Nearly already say that driving down this aggressively did cause the trouble because he was sliding a little bit there, I would say. And then poor Brightshop just nowhere to go for him. Gonna take that. Look at that. Oof. And that is how you make out of a DP a helicopter.
Exactly, as now we've got a whole bunch of cars as we watch one more time starting to come down pit lane. Boyett, Beck, Reese, and Fowler, and Gregory the only ones that are staying out on track, it looks like, at the moment.
Surprisingly... Never mind, actually surprisingly, Gavin Boyd stays out and Gregory is staying out. I wonder if the pit lane is actually open already, because Gregory is heavily damaged and continues to drive around. But we have cars in pit lane, so that can't be. Just seems like he just wants to drive another lap, get to the very back of the field. I don't know what the reason might be. All I know is that we are once again under caution.
We are indeed. I think for Boyett, what he may be trying to do here is just bank on another yellow. I mean, he should be able to go to, I would imagine, lap 85 or 90 on the tank that he's got. If he's really, really, really eking it out, he may be able to pull 90. So he's probably just banking on another yellow here in the next 30 or laps. And when he comes in, oh, nope, never mind, I lied, as he comes into the pits now.
Actually, lap number 60 is gonna mark the halfway point of this race, and that means Nicola Reese is gonna take home $10 from this event already. So congrats to Nicholas for that achievement.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody coming into the pits here as we are gonna wait and see who makes it out first.
Should be interesting race off the pit line. Probably is gonna go to Drake. Oh no, actually Boyett was able to get out much quicker. I thought Drake was much higher up the order after that wreck. I know Kevin Boyett gonna take home the honors there of the fastest pit stop. And while we are under pace car conditions, we're once again gonna quickly step aside, take a breather, but don't worry, we're gonna be back once the lights go out. Welcome back to Janitor Dave's 2020 Summer Slammer live here from the Texas Motor Speedway. It is Nicholas Rees who is going to take us to the 5th green flag of the night. The 4th restart is in order. On his outside it will be Michael J. Fowler with Zachary Geary in 4th place and Dave Bush in 3rd.
That's right, and as we watch this outside lane to try to dive back down as you see Reese, or that's Fowler, excuse me. Fowler trying to get a bit of an advantage over the leader as we come to green.
Both are well over 30 laps into their respective stints as Nicholas Rees goes on to the loud pedal for the 5th time today. And Dave Bush immediately goes in front of Michael J. Fowler, who is dropping already back to 4th, back to 5th now. Maybe even back to 6th as Zachary Geary goes and dives to the bottom side.
That was just a terrible restart from Fowler. He looked like he just got caught napping by Reese as he went along. As Bush makes a pass for the lead on the outside, he may have the momentum to make this work.
Now also he's getting the help by Roger Gregory in behind him. So this is going to be interesting how this plays out going into turn 3 the next lap.
That's right. As on here, Gregory just looking a little bit loose as he was coming down in, but we slot in here. Once again, that top lane starting to lose out after about a corner. Looks like Bush may have a little bit momentum, but I don't think he's going to have enough to make it work.
Seems like that is the case right now, as you can see the headlights in full effect, and you very much can see pretty much every detail of the track ahead of them. So our concerns about the headlights after all, Riley DP have been...
That's very true as we continue in Noah's Ark style here, 2x2 down the back stretch. That looks like, who is that? Geary making it 3 wide, trying to make that high line work.
Yeah, oh, nearly. Once again, Gregory and Whiskey coming together as 3 wide in behind. That nearly resulted in a crash as there was a touch between Boyett and Fowler.
That's right, as Boyett now comes back in. We continue down here. Bush coming up, trying to get a good draft going down the backstretch. 3 wide again coming down the backstretch. Guys are really getting racy here.
Yeah, that is great. Going shortly for the 3 wide. Now we have 3 wide with, who is that? Gregory on the outside, who touches the wall ever so slightly. And that results into, once again, 3 wide with Drake now in the middle. That is also back on the bottom side. And yeah, look at that. Gregory continues to tumble down the order.
Yeah, that outside line just not working. I wonder if he got a little bit of damage potentially or what it is. To see everybody moving around and jostling here. Still relatively 2x2 up front. Nothing real crazy happening. Bush being one of the first drivers we've seen all night to actually make that outside line look like it can potentially stick.
Oh, someone had in the wall behind. Gavin Boyett hard into the wall. Didn't bring out a yellow flag as he was pretty much the last car anyway. Yeah, once again, someone getting caught out by the dog leg.
Very much so. This just proven very tricky for these Riley DPIs as we go along. Reese continues to lead here. Dave Bush trying to make it work on the outside. Zachary Geary along with him on the outside, and that is all from David Visky. Right down low, trying to get the inside line to work here too.
Not as advanced these cars are. It's still the Daytona Prototype, not the Daytona Prototype International class. It's the predecessor. ISO touch there between the leaders. How did Bush once again keep that car straight? And nobody knows.
Coming very close together there as we continue to go by the back straight, getting on the front stretch a little bit more jumbled. Guys going around. That was a little bit of a wiggle there from Reese. I wonder if that's going to cost him as they pass by Boyett coming out of the pits.
2x2, 4 deep right now. Drake, the last car on the top lane right there, as they now also gonna get joined by Brightchop. For Brightchop about 3 car lengths back on Drake, so he's not gonna be able to help the top lane right now.
That's right. Geary giving a little bit of a push to Bush coming onto that quad oval. Bush has got his nose just out ahead. Very close between Bush, Reese, and Gregory there. This bump draft and not turning out as good as everybody thought.
Playing with fire once again in the background as well as we go on to replay. Fowler getting knocked out by Drake there off the draft of the cars ahead of him. Look at that. There's a first touch between the two leaders, and then also Geary nearly running to the back of Reese there, Bush there.
Just getting into each other, getting their elbows out here as we're about to pass the lap 73 marker. Coming down the backstretch, Bush once again, he can get ahead coming into the corner, but Reese just able to keep it low as Visky now looks like I thought he may have had to move on Bush. Bush trying to come down to the inside, not working, going to stick on that high line.
Oh, a little bit of a slide through it, back. He's going to go shortly 3 wide with Oates taking the inside to him, and Drake once again the outside of that 3 wide for a moment.
That's right, as these leaders stay close together down the back and we get a sort of a nice Mighty Ducks flying V down the backstretch as here comes Geary maybe poking his head out, thinking about 3 wide. Bush moves to cut him off as we just continue this side-by-side motion.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It seems like the cars behind Bush really are not too keen on turning in onto the first part of that quad oval because they get awfully close to the outside wall as once again Drake goes to the outside. This time it doesn't work out for him, drops in position to Roger Gregory on the top side.
I thought he might have had that. He had a mega run coming out of 2. Now Visky's getting shuffled back a little bit through that quad oval. Here comes Geary and Bush once again. He doesn't look like he has it. Visky really preventing Bush from coming down, trying to suck up on that draft, but he's still going to get his elbows out a little bit, make him know he's there as Geary gives him a little bump draft coming into 3.
We, by the way, have 2 cars right now that are lap down, or no Gavin Boyd after his wreck. He's a lap down, and Abbas Ladak, he had a throughput at the end of the last push. He is 3 laps down on the leader.
That's right. Ooh, little contact there between Bush and Reese. These guys are driving like NASCAR drivers at Martinsville here. Really, really bumping and rubbing, making for a good show for these spectators.
Yeah, continuing to run very interestingly. Nicholas Reese now into the 46th lap of his stint. We go. Michael Fowler, he is approaching lap number 50 the next time we go past the stripe.
That's right, and Reese continuing to lead here, and the thing to take in mind, Reese, I do not think will have enough fuel to finish out this race. Everybody else probably can do it, with the exception of that's Michael Fowler is the other early stopper. So Reese does need another caution to make this race work for him. Everybody else can probably go to the end as he continues to battle side by side with Dave Bush, as it looks like Bush actually was able to lead that last lap.
Did in a actually was Reese by 2 1/1000ths of a second to lead it over the stripe. As Bush continues to ride on the high side, Geary continues to ride right behind him. It's only a matter of time until he has to get out of the slipstream to cool off his car more. He's doing a nice tactic though on the dog leg. He is keeping about half the car out of the draft as we have a wrecked car on the infield, but that's not going to bring out a caution as that was still on the tarmac. That was actually Sladak.
Oh, it was. It was indeed, as we're now 3 wide. Britkoff blinking a little bit there. That's got to scare his competitors around him, but he's managed to get by Mardones and Fowler and move his way up to that train on the high line.
And the pack is starting to move around a little bit, especially out of turn 4, so it really continues to look like it's starting to get a little bit oversteery out of 4 with all the speed they're carrying due to the draft as once again Drake. How did they manage that?
Oh, and they didn't! Big crash!
And we experienced 2 more helicopters on the rise here at Texas Fort Worth.
Oof, 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 oof. Rough crash there from those involved. I haven't been keeping track of number of fast repairs, so I can't tell you off the top of my head if they're going to be able to make it back out here safely or not.
Yeah, it does seem like Zachary Geary, he had quite some damage with that first touch because he didn't turn right, just the car all of a sudden snapped to his right there, right into the innocent Jordan.
Very much so. And the caution, this is much, much needed for our leader, Nicholas Reese. He's going to be able to come in here on lap 81, get some fuel, be able to make it to the end.
Question is, will he take tires?
At this point, I think it's worth a shot to just take them. Why not?
I would actually go out and say don't take tires, because it most definitely has proven itself that tires are not needed, but he doesn't do it anyway. He is taking tires. Continues on the same old strategy of pretty much everybody to just take tires with your fuel, because tires and fuel are taking at the same time. Actually, Bush did beat him out, so that's interesting. Seems like Bush did need less fuel. Actually, it is interesting because Bush did still need fuel apparently. Or maybe he just took tires.
I'm not sure. I think from Bush that may have just been a safety, add a couple of gallons just to make sure he had enough to make it to the end. And even if he didn't, it's definitely one of those things of that Reese was going to need a much larger tank of fuel, so going to be stationary longer in the pits, certainly longer than Bush.
The 5th caution of the day. Once again, a 2-car wreck that brought it out. Pretty much all but a 1 caution were because of 2 cars colliding with each other. And it does seem like the Jordan Beck has run out of fast repairs, because he's still standing there. No, never mind, he's back with a clean car. Maybe he had to take a tow. Yeah, seems like he only had to take a tow because he is now driving off again.
Yep, that does indeed look to be the case as we line up here. 83 laps in the books of 120 here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Night has fallen. Those concerns we had about fog and all of that clearly not coming into effect, as these headlights working wonderfully for these drivers, illuminating the track in front of them.
So apparently the wreck got actually caused by Travis Brightshop and his internet connection, as our admin here, Adam Sweet, he's also the host of the race, did tell Travis that he sadly did cause that wreck because of big netcode with his blinky car.
That's going to be a heartbreak for Travis there, as he was running a good one. There any news about penalty or anything like that?
No, but it seems like he decided to pull his car off the racetrack to try and fix internet as he once again comes out. So he will continue to drive. Now, though, we have Gavin Boyd a lap down along with Zachary Geary, Jordan Beck 2 laps down, and Abbas Larak now 7 laps down on the leader. As I think, yeah, Abbas actually did decide to pull his car behind the pit wall.
That does seem to be the case. As Gabriel Visky, the gentleman who was leading much of the early running of this race, back up front, getting ready to go here. Lights remain on, so at least one more lap under this pace car.
So, question is, I think this should be lights out now. I was wrong before. Let's see if I get to... Whoa, look at that. Lights are out.
Hey,
So we're gonna go back to green flag racing once again. This time, Whiskey takes to the front of the field. He's gonna take home the second restart for himself this night. So, pretty much everybody is clear to go till the end, lap 85. We are completing after this one just 35 more laps to go after this one. There we go. I hope that was correct.
I believe it was, as we're watching everything coming down here. Oates and Visky getting a little close together, just kind of making sure each other know that they're there.
Here we go, the green and black car of Gabor Albert Visky to the green flag. Green flag is out, and it's a poor start by Visky. O's actually able to get the jump on Visky there, but it's not going to be too much avail for him as he is on the high side, so he's going to drop back the order just about now. Straight to the inside, takes home second place down the backstretch.
That's right, and Bush diving out there, trying to make it 3 wide for a second, but just coming back onto that top lane with Jonathan Oates, as we've got contact in the back.
No! Ooh, Fowler, Boyette. No yellow flag, interestingly.
Very interesting.
The really bad thing for Fowler is he could have driven that car home, but the lights went out.
Yeah, that'll certainly stop your race very quickly as we watch the replay here.
Oh, what a hard hit for both of these cars. Turning Fowler into quite an interesting helicopter there. I think that's what you call a confused helicopter.
Certainly not the position he wanted to be looking at on the track today, I can tell you that.
Jonathan Oates in second place. First car in line at the top as... Oh, look at that. What is that? That's Bush. Making it 3 wide, pushing Oates to the top. And Oates immediately going to drop 2 positions on the top. Back to, what is that, 6th place?
That's right, as Drake running the inside there in what is listed as 3rd with Roger Gregory trying to make that outside lane work as well.
Nine cars remain right now in this field. All of them are riding in this pack that we're seeing right now. Actually, no, sorry. We still have 11 cars, but 2 of them are 2 laps down. That's
right, and Gregory dropping down the order here. He tried to run that super high line and just got caught out. I'm not sure if he's got damage, but he is just falling like a stone here.
Interesting, really. Oh, he only now goes back to the mid part of the track as that was Drake once again getting very close to Oates. Too wide, 3 deep. We are once again in this race. Lap 91 has started. We're inside the last 30 minutes.
That's right. As we continue to just run Noah's Ark here. Drake falling back on that outside line, trying to claw back a little bit. Clearly not enough yet to get through into 3 and 4. As that's Oates taking a peek on the outside, trying to get a little bit of clean air for the wing to get a run down the front stretch as we go into the quad oval here.
It is past 9 p.m. virtual standard time here at Texas Motor. Oates gets nudged once again to the top side. Jordan Beck was the guy who did that to him this time around. So it's actually able to keep very nicely up in that top side until he reaches turn number 3. Then he really has to give up the ghost and drops to the bottom side.
That's right, Busch continuing to run that high line, trying to make something work. Gets a little close to Visky as they punch down. Oates right back in it. Coming up behind them. Woo! Little wiggle there from Drake. I think he may have gotten some contact in the back.
That's a very interesting line from Oates. He continues to ride a high line into turns 1 and 3. Dives down. Look at the momentum he's getting once again. Going 3-1. Oh, that's into the wall!
That dog leg just catching somebody out again, and this time, unfortunately, it being Oates. No caution flag.
No, we have caution, but that was actually back being super high in the dog leg, and that is what caused Oates to go into the wall alongside with Beck, and that collected 2 more cars. That was Inigo Mardones, and Roger Gregory as well.
Alright, as we come back to caution here, and as we've said before, I don't anticipate there being any pit stops on this round.
Lap number 95 we are having right now, so expecting somewhere around 20-21 laps on the restart. 21 laps to go, that is, to the checkered flag. Don't forget, we have 2 tries at a green-white checkered as well, if we do need that.
You read my mind, Stefan. I was just about to bring that up.
Let's have a look if anybody is going to take to the pits. If not, we're going to once again go to a quick break here at GSRC. And actually, Dave Busch goes into pit lane from 2nd place. Also, Roger Gregory, no surprise there. Inigo Mardones, same thing for him. So, 2 of them were expected, 1 of them wasn't really expected. Dave Busch now into his pit stall. Alright, now that we know the drivers who took to the pit stalls, we're gonna head for that set break. But don't you worry, once the pace lights go out, we're back for more action. The pace car continues to be the leader, not with the most laps led, but 4 at least right now. Lights are out. Once again, on top of the pace car, it's still Janitor Dave's 2020 Summer Slammer, live from the Great American Speedway, that is the Texas Motor Speedway. Gabor Albert Visky once again going to lead the field to the green flag. Malachi Drake this time around, he is your pole sitter of this race, right now sitting in second place.
That's right. As we start to line everybody up here, we're going to have to see what happens on this restart with only about 20 laps to go here as the green flag falls. We've been getting a little scrappier, expected to get more scrappy. And as we cross the line here, once again, Visky getting a really good run, getting that low line. Little action in the back. Drake's going to come right alongside him. That's going to open up the door, it looks like, a little bit for Nicholas Reese to be able to get the move on Drake as they start to go by down the backstretch.
Here comes momentum for Drake on the outside. But once again, into turn 3, he just can't keep the momentum up with the bottom line is carrying through the turns. So he has to... Whoa! Reese and Bush, both big slides on the bottom side. That gives the momentum to the top side and also leaves Visky without any help on the bottom side whatsoever. About 6 car lengths back. The next car in line that still is Nicholas Reese. A little bit interesting that Gregory didn't decide to go to the bottom line there and maybe overtake Drake for that second place.
Oh, we have contact! Another helicopter there. That looks like it's Gavin Boyett, I believe, and that Mazda livery may have been taken out. Not sure who the cause is as we watch the replay. Yep.
That was really interesting. It was a slanted 3 wide between Mardones, Beck, and Bush. And Beck just turned in a little bit too much. Didn't realize Bush was still there. So that turned back around right into Mardones rather. And yeah, then in the back, Boyd, as you can see, nowhere to go. Oof. And same with Zachary Curie, I think. No, Curie was able to avoid it actually, so only a 3-car incident.
Only a 3-car incident as we see Malachi Drake making a little fake out there to maybe come down pit lane. As we're still in replay, oh, you can just see how close that was. Oy. Very lucky.
Bush into pit lane once again.
Very interesting strategy here from Bush. I won't lie, I'm not entirely sure what his thought process of coming down pit lane is everybody else around him still very, very low on, or very old tires. He should have been able to do it. Maybe just trying to cover off Gregory and Oates, both of which stopped on lap 94 and 95.
Yeah, Visky and Drake lap 44 and 43 off their stints respectively. So really not seeing any drop of speed or grip on these tires. As Visky flashes his lights at the pace car to go faster around the track.
This is the classic argument from a driver there. Well, as we get down, as you see a little bit more light flashing there going on from behind the field, Stefan, what are you watching? Who do you think's going to have the car to take us in these last 17 laps?
Well, it sure is going to be interesting between Visky and Drake. I feel like they are the strongest driver in this field right now. It's also going to be a little bit of an interesting watch for Bush right now in 9th place at the very tail of the field. Going to be interested to see how he can fare with his new tires. If he's able to take that car back into the top 3 at least of this race. Also, kind of have to mention 3rd place driver Roger Gregory. He started in 15th place up to 3rd place. Very good race for him. Stayed out of pretty much everything that was thrown at him today. So yeah, a few very interesting drivers, and quite honestly, I couldn't really say who I would mark down for the win here today.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that on all counts. A really inspired drive today from Gregory, up 12 from his starting position. And being able to take that inside line, Drake has obviously been able to hold it over these past couple laps running the outside, but we'll have to see if that curse of the outside restarts strikes once again, and Drake may lose out second to Gregory here.
Also, I think that Inigo Mardones with that last wreck did run into the fast repair limit, as I think he didn't have any more remaining here today.
That looks to be the case, and that leaves us with, it looks like 9 cars running, as my screen is showing Jordan Beck still currently in pit stops 3 laps down.
Yeah, I do think that Jordan also just did run into the fast repair problem, as I think I remember him, that was his 4th wreck that he was involved today. Could be wrong though. Anyway, 105 laps are done, 15 more to go after this one. We have, what is that, 35 minutes, 37 minutes pretty much remaining in the time limit that is set to 2 hours, and if we don't get a caution fest here at the end, fingers crossed for that, we are not going to run into the 2-hour time limit.
No, that's right. And obviously, as we mentioned earlier, 2 chances to do an overtime finish if that's what it comes to. But hopefully we can get these last 14 laps in green to the end, as the pace truck's lights are out, and we will go green next time by.
And trucks all but a car, so it also works out with a pace car. Visky, as I said, once again is going to lead to the green flag. It's the time this race he's going to do that. Actually, 4th time he's going to do that. It's the 7th start of today. 6 restarts and 1 initial start. Visky versus Drake. Drake started in 1st. Visky started this race in 2nd place. 3rd place, that was Thorsten Oaks all the way back. And 4th place to start this race off was Gavin Boyett, who is sitting in 9th place, who we're riding on board right now.
That's right, and you can see just how limited this field of vision for the drivers really isn't, especially if you are running farther back. The headlights of the guys in front of you really just making everything beautifully lit up as we get ready to take the green here.
Yeah, we're gonna take it on board with Boyett here. Immediately goes to the top side as the first few rows are staying in the line of stern ahead of him. He is trying to make the most of his restart. Goes top, probably is gonna dive down just about now, or no, maybe not, as there was a big wobble from Reese in front. He managed to save it all the way down to the bottom though.
That's right, and you can just see how these guys are starting to pull away a little bit. The draft really coming into effect as they cross the start-finish line. Yet again, Drake being able to keep relatively competitive for the first lap here, but now it looks like it's a 2-way battle for second between Gregory and Drake, as Drake, once again, able to get the momentum down the backstretch, but Gregory holding that low line, as Drake may be able to see if he can get a run here up on first to Visky.
The car 3rd in line at top, that is Dave Bush, the car that did pit on the last 2 quarters. So his tires are just 6 laps old, 5 of which have been driven under pace car conditions.
That's right, Geary and Drake starting to work together a little bit. Little bump draft coming out of turn 2 as there's a fan out in the back there going 3 wide. I can't tell who that is because of the lights. Boyett, that's Boyett. Running that line that we've talked about, starting up high, trying to get a crossover to run low as he tries to work his way up to the lead of his pack.
Look at Boyett, how much momentum he actually as once again starts high, drifts a little bit lower, but he continues to stay out top. Now he goes down bottom, and look at how much momentum he gets from that. Is side by side with all the other drivers, but once again he goes very hard into turn 3, dives down to give himself a nice run into the dog leg. Maybe he's trying to do a little bit of a tactic here come the race end.
Yeah, he could be just trying to maximize the position as he crosses the line. As we look back up to the front here and things still run the way they were, Visky really kind of looking like he has the advantage specifically into 1 and 2 as Drake and Gregory battling now for second place. As we cross the stripe here, 112 laps down in the books, as that's Gregory trying to find a way down on Visky. Drake holding that high line. Geary up there looking like he's thinking about a push draft to Drake. And our pit stop maker Dave Bush still running that high line, trying to find a way through. It's looking more and more like as time goes along that strategy for him is not working out. He should have just stayed with track position.
Kevin Boyd, very interesting. He's making more and more ground up to the guys ahead of him with that interesting line. Now he is side by side with Bush. 3 wide they are. As he's actually gonna lose out to Nicholas Rees on the side. But he is trying out a very interesting strategy. It's sort of working for him, but also not working.
Yeah, he gets about 3/4 of the run down. Looks like he can make the pass, and then by the time he's ready, he's going to do it. As it looks like Geary trying to force Drake wide as Drake finally takes the lead, getting that front line from Visky for the first time.
Yeah, and that is with only 7 laps to go. One can only wonder if that was really a race-winning overtake as Geary tries to do a very interesting line. Look at Bush chasing Boyd all the way to the outside down the back stretch. Defense of Boyd's charge, and Bush now second in a line for the top lane. It did take about 15 laps for the top 2 to finally move past Visky. How long it's going to take for Geary to move past Drago, and if the race is going to run dry before that moment can happen.
That's right, and it looks like Drake trying to line up a push draft here for Geary on the outside. Oh!
That was Bush.
I thought Bush was going to save that. They got loose, and then he got up into the wall, collecting Boyd as he went. Another helicopter crash there.
It's upside down. That's a new addition to our helicopter crashes today.
That is. We always aim to keep things new and fresh. As yellow does indeed look like it's coming out.
So, I think this already is going to count as our first Green-white-checkered attempt. Because we have only 5 laps remaining right now, and that is what it takes for the pace car to come back in.
That's correct, so we'll get a nice run to Green-white-checkered as we watch the replay here. Oh, that's my bad. We are back live.
Zachary Geary coming into pit lane.
I wonder if Geary got a little bit of damage there. He has to be looking to push.
We can see this once he gets past... he's not going to get past the headlight of back, but it did pop back into place, so it's Zachary Geary. Seemed to have picked up some damage there.
That's right. Still stationary for a long time there on pit lane. Not sure if he's hit his limit of incidents or if he's taking on maybe some new tires. I didn't see the jacks go up, but I can't be sure.
Well, if he would have run into the incident limit, then he would have been disqualified because there is no drive-through.
That's correct.
Well, so the question is going to be on who is going to take home $40 here today. Will it be Drake? Will it be Visky? Or will it be anybody from behind? Maybe even Roger Gregory, 15th to 3rd place right now. What a story that would be, from dead last to first to take it all. One can only dream.
Exactly, and I know we talked about it in the last caution, but Gregory really has done just a phenomenal job this race, keeping his head down, keeping his nose clean as possible. He's not been, running with his elbows out, just trying to get up to the front, and it's paid off. And I have to say, starting third here isn't exactly the worst position. I think if he keeps it down for a green-white checker, he can certainly get around Visky on the outside, and he could be in for a look here at the win. It's going to be difficult, but it is certainly on the cards for Gregory today.
It's the question you hate to hear. Who you got?
It is indeed the cliche commentator question, but honestly, at this point, with a green-white checker situation, I have to go with Drake. Drake's looked good running that high line. He was able to finally steal it away from Visky on that last run of green flags with 3 laps, it taking about a full lap to get up to speed. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to overtake anybody on that inside lane.
Also, the thing we have to mention is Visky, the last time he did start, the last and only time he did start on the second place of the grid, he did totally fall asleep on that start. He was sound asleep actually on that restart. He was in second place and dropped about 5 positions until he was. And now we have the confirmation. It is a green or white checker. The first attempt of today, 1 of 2. So it's going to be interesting how this is going to play out. Will we see a wreck coming to the line? Will we see a checkered flag finish? Well, we're going to find out just in a few moments' time.
That's right, as we should get the 1 to go, I believe, next time by...
Yes,
as
sir.
The pace truck lights are still on at this point.
As Dave Bush gets a wave round, so he's gonna gain back the lead lap. That means we will have 8 cars remain on the lead lap. Malky, Drake, Gabor, Visky, Roger, Gregory, Jonathan Oates, Nicholas Rees, Michael Fowler, Zachary Geary, and Dave Bush are those 8 drivers.
That's right, and Bush's gamble on that last round of pit stops, taking those new tires, clearly not paying dividends even before that wreck he got into, as the field position continues to be king here at the Texas Motor Speedway.
Pace car lights are out. We're gonna get our first green-white checkered attempt right now in. Malky Drake is gonna lead the field into this first attempt with Gabor Albert Visky to his outside, Roger Gregory in third, Jonathan Oates gonna be in second place on the outside with Nicholas Rees, Michael Fowler, Zachary Geary, and Dave Bush in the last place on this restart. Riding on board with Dave Bush right now.
That's right, and as we come to the line, I think the only chance that Visky's going to have to really make a move work is if he gets a nice bump draft from Jonathan Oates coming off the line. That may be able to give him just enough momentum to make this work, but other than that, we will have to see here very quickly.
How we're gonna see anyway very quickly what is gonna happen with this restart as the pace truck pulls into pit lane, gives full control to first place Malky Drake. He is gonna go right now. It's a good start also by Visky, who keeps pace with him. It's actually side by side, line astern. And let's see how Visky is gonna play out this 1-2 here.
That's right.
He's getting the push.
Yep, he's getting out in the back, but Visky got a good start, but loses out as here we go down the back stretch, trying to keep that momentum up on the top side. He's past Gregory. He's going to try to make the move in there. Oh, did he catch it? He saved it. Visky saves it as somebody else goes around.
Oh, keep it together. So yellow flag. Once again, that gives us our green-white checkered attempt. Up to you.
That's right. Amazing save from Visky there as he gets bumped by Gregory, managed to keep it on track, runs up into Fowler, and then we have that accident in the back, and that looks like Oates spinning around.
Interestingly, Visky didn't pick up any damage, so he is very lucky on that one. There we see the onboard from Dave Bush. Sees the save and sees the slice. Woohoo! That was too close for comfort.
That's, he definitely may need a change of race suit after that wreck. That was a very, very terrifying situation for Bush.
Thing is that this has pushed Visky all the way back to only 4th place. Now we have Roger Gregory in 2nd place. I didn't say it, but he is my underdog pick for the win here today. As I think the pace track lights, no, they're still on, never mind.
That's right, as we've got one more to go here, as I believe that is Oates getting the wave around there, coming around.
And we also just got the confirmation. This is the final caution where we'll try for a green-white-checkered finish. So whatever happens after this green flag, this is it.
That is correct, as we'll have Malachi Drake as we come to, should be, one more lap of caution at the line. Malachi Drake lining up the inside. Gregory will be to his outside. Reese and Visky behind them. It's going to be interesting again. We saw in that last restart that we had a train of 3 cars starting to push a little bit as opposed to the normal 2, definitely adding in a little bit of the danger and excitement as we close in on this checkered flag.
Yeah, a little bit on the stupid side that 3-car push was. I think it actually was Geary that did push Gregory into Drake. So, yeah, a little bit of an interesting drive from Geary.
Exactly, as the pace truck lights remain on, so we have at least one more lap under caution. Commentator's curse on that one, I suppose.
Might have also been Oates. I can't remember anymore who was in that position there. It was a white car, that's all I remember. Either Geary or Oates. It really doesn't matter because it all played out as it did, as pace car lights are still on, so we have one more after this.
That's right. Drake keeping nice and close up behind that pace truck, not wanting to give any sign of weakness away, it looks like. Gregory just kind of circling around on the outside, getting ready to line up 2x2 as, hopefully, the pace truck lights will go out on this next lap.
The pace car soon to cross the start-finish line. Let's have a look. I think somebody did drive into pit lane. No, never mind. Saw that wrong. And the pace car driver lights are still on.
We just keep jinxing it, it looks like. That beautiful commentator's curse.
By the way, less than 20 minutes to go inside the 2-hour mark of this race. It would take quite the miracle for us to not make it inside the 2-hour mark.
Agreed. It looks like we will get in the full race distance, over the race distance, in fact, with these 2 overtime green-white-checker rules coming into play.
I mean, we are already at lap 125, so we are 5 over. And also, by the way, lap 127 is going to be the last lap of this race, as that did change on the iRacing banner that you have as a spectator. Good to know that that actually changes. I didn't know that. So this means that this is going to be the last lap of the pace car.
As here they come to the line, watching those lights intently, and
There we go.
lights are indeed out.
So that means now lap 128 is going to be the last one. So that dynamically changes with every lap the pace car does.
It's good to know the iRacing service stays right on top of its game, no matter what it gets thrown.
So Drake versus Gregory it is. The 33 versus the 90. The 90 starting in first race of this event, with Gregory starting from the opposite end of the field, starting in dead last, coming all the way up to second place. It is going to be the story of this race, no matter what happens in these last 2 laps.
That's right, and Visky lining up behind Gregory, obviously getting very loose on that last time, going to be anxious to make up for ground, and we'll have to see if he can help out Gregory as they come to the line with a little bump draft to get Drake by and maybe even help himself.
Here we go, the last attempt at finishing this race under a green flag. It's Drake heading the field into the green flag for the last time. It's a good start from him, but also a very good start from Gregory. He is matching the pace of Drake on the inside. Visky once again with a very bad restart, just not the day of him if he doesn't lead the restart. But here now comes Nicholas Reese, look at that. But he's getting boxed in by Gregory and Drake. It is going to be the last stretch of this race. Oh, look at that 4 wide in behind that. Oates with a hell of a run on the inside. He managed to slot in 3rd place on the bottom side. White flag in the air.
That's right, that was an amazing run from Oates down onto the grass right there, trying to push Reese a little bit, trying to get him up past Drake as Drake holds that low line coming into 1 and 2. They're still 2 by 2, getting a little motion there. Drake holding the low line.
Behind that's right field, but we stay green flag for right now. Gregory and Oates really locked up right now, but they both make it happen as Oates gonna go past Gregory. Gregory's gonna go push back to 5th place, and Macaulay Drake is gonna take home the checkered flag here at the Texas Motor Speedway for Janitor Days 2020 Summer Slammer.
And an absolute photo finish for second there is Reese and Oates crossing the line within centimeters of each other. Wonderful, wonderful action there.
Alright, with that done, the racing might be over, but the show is far from done. We're gonna take a quick breather, but we will be quickly back for the post-race show after these messages. We welcome you all back to the post-race show, streaming to your home on the Global SimRacing Channel. Are you interested in advertising with GSRC? Our channels of 1 million monthly global impressions are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description to learn more. Learning more about the results, that's also what we're here for today. And Malachi Drake, 1st place on the grid, 1st place in the timing sheets at the very end of the race. He is going to take home $40 after this race. Nicholas Reese, he was your halfway leader of this race, so he gets $10 for his efforts, finishing in 2nd place. Jonathan Oates 3rd from 3rd, so very good race for him as well there, as Roger Gregory from last place into 4th. That still must feel very, very good for him. Michael Fowler 5th place, Dave Bush 6th, Gabor Visky finishes in 7th, as Tekri Giri finishes in 8th, with Kevin Boyd in 9th, and running into top 10 was Jordan Beck.
That's right, and we have here lined up in the booth some of our good guys. We have some of our folks to interview here in the booth, ready to talk to our leaders, as I will throw back to the wonderful Stefan to take it away.
Yeah, Malachi Drake, our winner of today's race, and with that taking home $40. Must feel very good there, as you experienced some slight hiccups along the way here today.
Yeah, at the beginning there, the 36 slid up into me, and then I overcorrected trying to save it, and then coming to the halfway point, I know that I made a driver error and dove to the inside and got myself loose and turned around. But I was able to recover and things ended up working in my favor.
Very much so in your favor. Let's talk a little bit about the car and the setup. How did it feel out there, and especially how were the tires later on in the run?
The setup felt really good for most of the race. I could tell when the tires get slightly older, it was a little bit tighter, especially in the tri-oval. But other than that, the car drove really good, and you could push without any issues. So it was a good setup and a great race.
Great race in a very deep. Now, it was a little bit of a caution fest in the end there, but you were able to make that race-winning overtake around the outside of a Whiskey in the very end. How helpful was knowing how it's going to happen on the outside, because you already did that earlier in the race a few times, passing for the lead on the outside?
Yeah, whenever I had gotten put farther in the back of the field, I was kind of did some experimenting just in case I was able to get the opportunity up front to make that move. And I noticed that you had to just find the perfect run and have a really good pusher behind you. So shout out to, I believe, the 36 of Nicholas. He was behind me and gave me the really good push to get me cleared and then the lead.
Well, Malachi, we are gonna leave you now to drinking some champagne after this race, winning $40 for your efforts. Once again, congrats on winning it here today.
Thank you guys for broadcasting.
That was Malachi Drake, your winner of today's race, and now it's gonna be DJ Clark talking to Nicholas Reese.
Nicholas, heck of a run to the line there. Looks like you couldn't pit Malachi, but photo finish between you and Jonathan. How was it out there?
Well, it was great. I mean, honestly, I've been going at this for a few months now on racing broadcasted races month by month, and finally got a podium finish. I'll take second. Like you said, unfortunately couldn't get to Malachi, but I'm happy with second. And those cars run like a dream out on this track, especially with the setup Adam put us in. It was great.
Yeah, and well, you have to be pretty pleased coming home as the halfway leader with that $10 reward leading on lap 60 as well.
No, actually, yeah. I mean, yeah, I forgot who got that. I think Gavin Boyett, or however you pronounce his name, did it. He got it, and he actually told Adam to just donate it to charity.
Oh,
so
well,
amazing guy.
Yeah, that's a heck of a thing. So talk about it. It looked like when you were running out there, that low line was the way to go. Obviously, you had to make work on the high line a little bit to get some passes done, but how are you fighting it to get those moves?
Yeah, the low line, man, I was just trying to hug it as much as I could, because the whole race, I tried the high side a couple of times, got around a couple people, but the low line's just the way to go. And I mean, made some moves, both low line and high line, but I couldn't get past anyone pretty much on the high line, and I could hold my position on the low line. So every time I started on the outside, I was like, dang it, I wish someone in front of me would have just pit. Thankfully, at the last green-white-checkered attempt, I did get put on the inside position in third, I believe. So that was great for me, and I knew from there that I was going to get a podium finish.
Well, you ran a heck of a race. Before we let you go, anybody you need to thank today?
I would like to thank Adam for putting this show on, or Janitor Dave as some call him. Janitor Dave, SummerSlammer 2020. He told me about it. I was like, I gotta try this. It's being broadcasted by you guys, and I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. So, didn't think that I would get that great of a finish. Saying that I haven't even really ran any laps around with these. I did a little bit in a test session, but not with other cars. But like I said, didn't think I'd get up here, and did. So yeah, I would like to thank Adam Sweet for putting that on, putting the show on. I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting it. It was a heck of a show. I tuned in a little bit. You guys were great.
Well, thank you, and congrats again, Nicholas.
Yes, thank you.
That was Nicholas Reese talking to VJ Clark. Nicholas Reese, your halfway leader of this race. So he's going to also take home $10, as already mentioned. Now it's Jonathan Oates. Jonathan, not the cleanest race for you. I think you were in 2, maybe 3 wrecks there. Had to use your fast repairs a couple of times. How was it out there in the nitty-gritty?
Man, it was just a roller coaster out there. My race started off pretty well, led a couple of laps, run up front. I got involved in a wreck pretty early on. I went a lap down. I got a lucky caution, able to get back on the lead lap. Then I thought I had a chance at the end there. I got involved in that wreck in the overtime restart. In the end, I was able to regroup, restart from 8th, drive all the way up to 3rd. I think I made the most out of my race. I don't really think I had a chance at the end there, and I worked with what I got, and I think I got a good finish out of it.
And only just about missed out on that second place, 3/1000th of a second. So it was very close for you taking that second place on the high side as well. Yeah, talk us through that first wreck. You were extremely unlucky on that one, I must say.
Yeah, in the first wreck, I think you might be talking about the one on the first overtime restart. I think I was just getting too aggressive there, giving a big push to the driver in front of me. Got a little bit too aggressive. He got turned. I think it was really my fault. So sorry about that. I don't remember who it was, but whoever it was, I do apologize to him. It was completely my fault. It set me back a little bit, but I think I was able to make the most out of it on the last restart to drive from 8th to 3rd.
And yeah, very much I was talking about that first overtime wreck. Well, Jonathan, congrats on your 3rd place finish, and also congrats on a very good showing.
Thank you.
That was Jonathan Oates, your 3rd place finisher of today, only missing out by 3/1000th of a second to Nicholas Reese. And now it is going to be DJ Clark talking to Adam, Janitor Dave. Sweet.
Adam, heck of a show you guys put on there today. Great finish at the line. You got to be happy with what you saw. Can you hear me there?
Seems.
Oh, there. I think I got you. Yep.
Seems like he has a little bit of problems sorting his microphone right now, so we're going to give him just a few more moments to sort that problem out. Adam, you got a copy. Seems like we can't get a clear copy on Adam. Very shame there, as he is the organizer of this league. But with that, we sadly must end the show. So GSRC would like to thank everyone on track today for a great show, and especially Adam, Janitor Dave Sweet, for organizing this league and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Right now on your screen, you can see all of the companies that provide us with their great hardware and software GSRC uses to deliver you the best possible show. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides us with her great masterpieces. See the screen for how to get a hold of more for great work. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on our social media platforms, Twitter with @GSRChannel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, on Instagram at GSRC_program. All of the upcoming races for our other series are now linked across your screen, so check them out and mark the download calendar to not miss another second of exciting racing action. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, DJ, Joe, and Doug, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in as Malachi Drake to give away the victory and $40 with that here in Texas. With that said, until next time, stay with and sayonara, and as always, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.